In this video, you're going to see a one-on-one interview with one of the members of my SASO University program named Hollis, and he is going to explain how he started a new digital agency that works exclusively with real estate private investors and all of the systems that he built around them. Now, what's really interesting is that Hollis started back in February, and by September, he had almost hit 10K a month, and in October, he had finally crossed that threshold. But what's really interesting about that is that when he really figured out his product in August, only a few months later, he was able to hit the 10K point. Now, the reason I want to share this interview with you is so that you can see real life testimonials of people going through this program who are learning how to really build a solid product around a specific space. So sit back, I hope you enjoy. And if you are interested in joining the exact same program that Hollis went through, I will link it below. Enjoy. What's up?
What's going on, dude?
How you been, man? It's been a minute.
I know. How's everything?
Doing great, man. Everything is coming together smoothly, but yeah, I wanted to I appreciate you taking the time. I wanted to get a little recording going, just kind of catch up, see how it's going. I think you said you hit a pretty nice month the other month, and I just wanted to kind of see just catching me up. I wanted to see what was going on. I know you've been using more of systems. You've been systemizing a lot more. I know when we first met, you were moving into, you were aggressively moving into real estate consultation. And then a few months later, you're just 5-figure months, which is crazy. But let me stop talking, man. Bring me up to speed.
Yeah. So my niche is focused on real estate private equity companies. So basically, syndications or funds, people who are trying to raise millions of dollars to purchase really big real estate projects. Essentially, is the niche. The tools I'm providing for them are the automations, email marketing, SMS, doing some cool stuff with AI, landing pages all around their specific investment opportunities and promoting their opportunities, building kind of brand awareness, and also moving the potential investors through basically what is the sales pipeline. Hey, I'm interested in potentially investing. All right, cool. Let's book a call with someone on our investor relations team. Fill out your investor profile, and then that kind of person is considered one. And then when there's a specific deal available to invest in, it's hey, make a deal reservation, which is basically saying I commit to invest 100K in this deal, and then actually nurturing the person after they make that reservation, or that soft commitment, we call it, nurturing them to sign the documentation that gets sent over, and then nurturing them to actually wire the money when it's time to wire the money, and things like that. So that's the whole system I built out. At first, I was going all in on just the SaaS implementation of just hey, we built out all the templates and everything. Here's the software.
Right.
That does work. We have a few clients that are running on that, but I mean, it's just a lot of work kind of to get, and a lot of work and a lot of investment. Basically, if you want to scale just SaaS, it turns out you really need ads, to really
Crazy
scale
traffic.
SaaS. Yeah. Which I'm not against, but I also don't want to pay for ads out of pocket if I don't have to.
Yeah.
And it's not really worth getting on sales calls to sell a thing for $297, right?
Right.
So it took me 2 months to figure out how can I really package a service along with this that will have a 1-to-1 correlation to their bottom line, right? Because in this kind of investor relations space, it's not so much oh, I'll go run ads for you and then you're going to get these customers. This is a relationship building business. So the dollars don't correlate to the amount that you spend up front very quickly. It takes even when you run Facebook ads, it takes 4 months to see a real conversion from a single client. So it's kind of it can be a tough sell for people who don't have a big budget to just kind of have the ads running for 4 months before they start to see investors get closed. So what I did was I pivoted instead of trying to focus on the ads, I said, okay, well, I can focus on people who already have a list of potential investors
So
and they
smart.
just need someone to come in and implement the campaigns for them, right? Like
Mm.
most people get the concept, like, okay, yeah, I need these marketing campaigns, I need some SMS, I want some landing pages, I needed some integrations to my
Right,
investor
right.
portal. Like they get the concept, but then it's like, all right, well, how the heck do I actually build it? No one knows how to do it. So that's what we've been selling is that package, our deal launch package. We're selling that um, just over between $2,000 and $3,000 right now, and
Yeah.
then we do that. That's a one time service that lasts basically it lasts for 2 months. Like we do the build out, and then we'll have a consultation, couple of consultation calls over the course of 2 months. That's typically how long a capital raise lasts, like 60 to 90 days, and
Okay.
then after that, you still pay for the SaaS, so you still pay 297 a month
Love it.
after that. And then
Yeah.
if your capital raise extends beyond the 60 days, then it's 500 something a month after that as well. Like if you want continual
Mm.
capital raising consultations after that. So that's been, I mean, people who get it, like it's a really finite product, and they get the benefit of it. And yeah, I got the idea from you actually. We had a conversation. I don't know if we were talking on
Yeah, yeah, we were
Facebook
talking
or
about, like, done for you versus done with you,
yeah,
but
yeah,
you
exactly.
went way higher, which is good because I think we talked, like I think it was, like, 300 and then 1,300 or something like that.
Yep, yep,
I'm
yeah.
glad to see you
So
went even higher.
I went. So basically, what I did was I looked at um like how many hours I thought it would take
Mm.
for my time. So I bill myself somewhere between 80 and $100 an hour. That's how much I was getting paid at my W-2, essentially, like at my salary, my last salary job.
Gotcha.
So I bill my time, and then I just factored in basically like a 50% profit margin on my own time,
Mhm.
and how many hours I thought it would take me to implement, plus that margin, plus a little buffer, and that's how I came up with how I came up with the price.
That's it, man,
Yeah.
yeah. And then, I think when we first met, you were mentioning I know you wanted to go all in on this. I think you had, like, some thoughts on some other real estate, like but you ultimately, like, committed to this, obviously. Would you say, like, committing to this space really helped you find what they want in terms
Oh,
of a solution?
100%, 100%. So, um, it helps because you start having the same conversation over and over and over again, right?
Mhm.
Like, and that's where you really find out where people's pain points are and where you can offer solutions versus if you're too broad. I mean, I could talk about niching down all day because I believe it's important in all forms of business.
Yeah.
And really in life. Like if you're gonna pick a thing, just do that thing and don't try to do too many other things.
Right, right, right.
um, because what was happening was at first I was like, okay, I have some general real estate expertise. So I'll go help
Mhm.
real estate agents over here, then I help some syndicators, then I work with like mortgage brokers and got all this different stuff.
Yeah, I
Now
remember you had, like, other businesses too, like, this was, like, newer when we first met, right?
yeah, yeah, 100%. Yeah, I have a private equity fund, that I've kind of put on the back burner, honestly,
Mhm.
for this. It's fun. I mean, though the two definitely feed one another, but uh,
Sure.
yeah, focusing in on the specific type of client lets you systematize your business, right?
Mm.
So when you bring in clients, at least for me, when I bring in clients outside of my niche, now I'm building custom stuff. I'm encountering unexpected issues that I don't, didn't anticipate coming up, and
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
spending more time on it versus, and this is something you mentioned, even when you do a kind of done with you service or an ongoing service, developing a process and then templatizing that, right? So
Mhm, mhm.
it's still a service and it's still customizable, but as the expert, you just create the templates and
Right, right.
replay that same process over and over and over again for every single person. Versus if you're spread out in too many different niches, it's difficult to really do that because each of them will require something slightly different.
Yeah, and then niching down to, like, I know when we initially spoke, we talked about those 2 price points. it sounds like even like able to just like justify way charging a lot more than you expected. Or do you have
Yep.
any plans on like increasing that number?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think, so right now we're still kind of in beta, if you will,
Mhm, mhm.
because there's a couple of features that we haven't built out. I'm still kind of testing. Like, I've used the system before. I've raised capital myself with the system. I've raised capital for other people with the system. Um, but as we get more results and, I can put on my landing page, like, $50 billion raised with the system,
Mm,
the price is
smart.
definitely.
Yeah, yeah, more social proof and
Yep.
I'm sure
Exactly.
you're putting together some case studies, I hope, of like funds raised and things like that.
Yep, exactly, and plus new features too, like, we're gonna do a bunch of stuff with AI features and all that as well.
Yeah. And that was the next question I wanted to ask, like, not to like oversimplify or disrespect like the builds, but like once you knew what to build, like because you worked with this space, like were there any um like creations or systems that technically were extremely difficult, or was it a matter of, oh, now that we know what they build, now we know how to structure the pipeline versus trying to guess at what it is, or maybe like a mix of the two?
Technically not. I mean, I have a tech background, so a lot of this stuff is kind of works simply in my brain, but the
Mhm.
most complicated thing we've built so far for sure is the AI booking bot. Like, to get it working really well for our use case. That was pretty big. And then the other thing we're building out right now are these dynamic pitch deck like landing pages. The way we're trying to build it's difficult because I'm trying to build it in the GHL website builder.
Gotcha.
That's really the more difficult thing. If I were to use another tool like Framer or something like that, it probably wouldn't take me any time at all, which I might end up doing. I like the just scalability and the
Yeah,
snapshot
right, right.
funnel builder, man. It makes it like once you get it right, it just, you
Oh
know,
yeah. It's like 2 clicks and update your custom values and, like, done.
done, done. Yeah.
That's
So
really cool. So number-wise, like, whatever, if you don't feel comfortable sharing it, I know you mentioned, like, this is a pretty new business and you already hit over 10K. What was that timeline like? What do you feel like kinda pushed you into that field? And then, like, what are the next steps? Because I know you. You're probably taking this to the moon. But, yeah, kinda walk me through, like, the financial journey and then, where you wanna take it.
yeah. So I started on this full time February. First week of February was my initial launch.
Mhm.
Um, Out of the gate, I got 3 clients. That was in my initial beta, which was like 197 a month. From there, we basically doubled in clients every month through straight affiliates.
Mm.
I got a couple of other people in the space who are either running ads or provide like copywriting services. And I just said, hey, we'll handle all the tech for your clients. So we got a bunch of SaaS clients that way.
Mm,
Um,
smart.
and it was great because we got usership up and the revenue started coming in. But obviously with affiliates, you're paying them as well every month. But you just,
Right.
account for that. So once I bumped my prices up, that started to matter less. Like, I felt a lot better paying people when I was taking home a lot more.
Right.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Um, and then really what took me to the next level was maybe in August, figuring out how to sell a higher ticket service
Mm.
to go along with the SaaS, right? Because I wanted the people in this space are very cost conscious. Not that they're unwilling to spend, but usually all the money they spend is kind of investor capital, meaning they have to be able to justify, because the
Yeah,
investors
right.
get to see the books at the end of the day if they ask for them. And so if they go through the books, I'm like, oh, why are you paying this guy, 5 grand
Yeah,
a
they're
month?
they're
Like, what the heck?
super analytical. Like,
Yeah,
they
yeah,
wanna see, like, direct ROIs and none of that, like, making you feel better about your stuff kinda stuff.
yeah, exactly, exactly. So it took me a long time to figure out a service I could provide that would satisfy that requirement, but also, um, you know, not take a whole bunch of time, that it'd be scalable and all that type of stuff. So I kind of started to figure that out in late August coming into September. Um, September, we almost had hit 10K, but just a couple of people that I thought were yeses turned out to be nos.
Yeah, right, right.
And then in October, we crossed 10K, had our first 10K month basically.
That's
Um,
crazy. And you know what's interesting? You said you started February, and what's really interesting is you and Ismail almost have the exact same timeline and almost the exact same financial hit. And when I started, I had almost the exact same timeline, almost the exact same numbers. So it's really cool because a lot of the program focuses on building that process out, but I tell people all the time, I'm like, listen, like you're gonna have, and maybe you can attest to this or maybe you had a different experience, but I tell people like you're gonna have like your first 3 months, your first 90 days. It's like you're learning the industry, you're taking what you can get, you're trying to figure now you obviously had more of a real estate background, but you're even just focusing on this space, like you're trying to like figure out all of like the kinks and the gears and how everything works. And then once you have that, that's kind of like at the end of the 90 days, that's kind of like where the race really begins. Do you think it was like a different timetable or what was that kind of like for you?
yeah, I agree. I think the first 90 days, even though I knew the niche, I didn't really know what my product was, right?
Mm.
So like, or I, so February, March, I thought I knew what my product was. Um, by April, I was like, this is not actually working the way I thought it was gonna.
Right.
And then May was like trying a couple of different things. That's when I started really trying to, bring in some different affiliates and just kind of scratching my head. And I was still, the biggest problem then was I still wasn't focused enough. Right. So
Mm.
by June, I was like, all right, I need to really just focus in on these
Yeah, lock
capital
in on
raisers.
this.
Like, this is exactly who I'm going to try to target. And, starting to try to figure out how I'm going to target them.
And
It
you
was
said that
cool,
was
but
June?
that was June.
So, like, really focusing June, you got June, July, August, you had that big problem you solved, and then September, almost 10 figures, October, 10 that's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, really focusing in, building, um, and I got this from you as well, the whole onboarding process in ClickUp, like, I didn't exactly use your template, but it kind of showed me how to build that
Yeah,
out for
restructure
onboarding
it.
new clients. Yeah, how to structure everything.
Very smart.
By June, I had structured had that all that structured. I brought in an onboarding specialist who is now kind of escalated to being just my general EA. Um, and because I had that broken down really well, we were able to actually hire somebody to do the actual onboarding work, like you said, all the custom values and kind of
Genius.
all that ATP, all that type of stuff. So um, by July, June, July, we had all of that part working really smoothly. August was a really slow month, because all the new leads I had were coming from affiliates, right? So
Mhm.
August was a really slow month, and I was just like thinking, like, man, what is the thing that what am I? I'm missing a piece, and I think that's about the time we had that conversation,
Mm.
and I was like, oh, I need to figure out how to
Those
package
high
this.
ticket setups.
Yeah, I have to figure out what's going to be my specific deliverable. And I mean, in this industry, it's all about the deals. It's all about helping people to close the deals because that's when they make their money. So,
So smart.
um, packaging it around that. And now, I mean, so I have 4 clients right now running on the deal launch. So they're paying on a 2-month at a time retainer.
Mm.
Um, based on hour packages. So right now we have a 10-hour package and a 20-hour package. I'm thinking about getting rid of the 10-hour package altogether because you really like the 10 hours a month is just not enough to move the needle for most people.
Mm.
So we have a 20-hour per month package that I'm charging 1,300 a month for in 2-month increments. And basically they're getting a trained VA where we'll sit down and come up with a game plan of like, hey, these are the kind of custom funnels I want. I want these kind of automations. I'm doing this cool thing with these speaking
Very
engagements. I want to build out some automations for that. And we come up with the game plan and the timeline to build that out. We get the VA working on it. They get, Slack access to us. They get an account manager the VA never actually interfaces with the client. There's like an account
Genius.
manager who's in between there. And so they pay for that. And the reason I designed it like that again is like all these guys want to be able to draw their costs back to their bottom line. So
Mhm.
if they have some initiative, they're like, hey, next summer we're going on a bunch of speaking engagements. Let's build out a bunch of these funnels for these specific things. It's like, all right, cool. Hire us for 2 months. We'll build everything out, make sure everything's good. After that, if you don't need anything new, like your system is going to keep running, it works well. You don't need
Yeah.
any, you don't need to keep paying us. Like you don't need to invent things for us to do. Just turn it off.
Yeah,
And you
yeah.
still just keep your SaaS, go back down to your SaaS level and you keep paying your 297 a month.
And you're still yeah, so now you're when you have more work come in, they're paying you more, and when you don't, they're still paying you.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, that's
Exactly.
genius, and I like what you said too, like, I'm a big fan of, like, not having the tech guys or the VAs talk directly to the client. What I found is usually people have, like, skill sets, like, your creatives are your creatives, your tech are your tech, and your customer service are your customer service. And then I know some people get concerned, like, well, what if the VA is from like a different country and some people don't want to have to deal with like the accent or, grammatical mistakes. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I barely do my grammar straight in English, so let alone another language. So, but I understand a lot of people like want that really professional touch. For your account manager, like, are you trying to just have that like super white glove experience? Is that kind of like the thought behind it?
Yeah. Yeah. And then to your point, the tech people are good tech people. They're not really good often at understanding like high level user journey, um,
Mm,
which is what it comes down to. And I think so. That's something right now that I'm probably going to hire for is someone who's more of a delivery manager who really understands how to translate client speak into tech speak, and
you're smart.
is able to because that's always the problem is like if I tell a tech guy like, hey, go build a funnel and make sure it does these things, he's going to build it and it's probably going to be a little ugly and it's probably not going to be the smoothest UX. And then so you need that delivery manager person in the middle there who's like, no, the client, they really tend to like buttons like this, or they tend to like things
Right,
that work
right.
like that, who can just review that work, and be the interface with the client and also, move the tech team along because kind of a that's a time consuming job. It's not necessarily like a high skill job, but it can be rather time consuming.
I think you definitely have to have that, like, aesthetic or design, like, it kind of, like, innate, like, you need to, like, understand, like,
Yeah.
okay, like, I've seen people sending me funnels, like, "Well, how's this funnel look?" And I'm just like, "This is the ugliest funnel ever." But, like, the tech people, like, it's really hard for a tech person to know it, right? But if you can,
Yeah.
like, illustrate it or even, like, map it in, like, Figma, Canva, and give it to them, yeah, they're gonna build it way faster than I could.
Yep, and that's the thing. So I'm a tech person. I can't design anything from scratch. I have
Yeah.
no skill for that at all. But like you said, if you could send me a Figma of something incredibly complex, and I'd be able to do it. But I would not have been able to conjure that out of my like
Right. Yeah,
out of my
right.
personal inspiration.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm with you there. So I know you said like you had the almost 10 figures in September, 10 figure or not 10 figure, 10K almost 10K in was it September and then
Mhm.
10K in October. What's next? Like what do we have on the horizon?
Yeah, so it's interesting. I'm gonna basically my goal will be to do sell 3 to 4 of these deal launch packages per month.
Mhm.
Um November will probably be 2 to 3 for a couple of reasons. One, I've done all of these myself because I'm really trying to flesh out the process. I'm learning that was probably a bad idea. I probably should have brought somebody on to help from the very beginning, but c'est la vie.
Yeah.
Um,
All right.
so I'm gonna train the team up and we're gonna do those. And also in the capital raising and private equity space, like after Thanksgiving, like business is kind of turned off until next year. Like
Mm,
nobody's wiring you $100,000 before Christmas. Like it just doesn't really happen.
gotcha.
So that's good. So November will probably be. So it's funny because of the way it's going to compound with the recurring revenue. November should be just a solid. Like we should still be around 10K in November if we were able to close, two to three of these, and then December will probably be pretty low as far as new business. But I'm
Yeah.
gonna try to kind of pre-sell some for for January to create that revenue because we can still build out the back end and not launch it until January. So I'll probably just like
Smart.
throw in a free, make December like a free month or something like that if you buy in December and let your package last to February. Um, but I really want to take December to like really build out this SOP and productize it
Yeah.
because I want to scale up. I want to have 2 to 3 guys who can kind of run this process for me, and then a couple of those account managers as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say that sounds almost like perfect timing, like unintentional perfect timing.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
okay, cool. We now know it. We now have it to where people want it. Now let's pump the brakes a little bit. Oh, wait, the economy's gonna do that for us. Perfect. Let's build this out so when we come back, it's like, you know, 2.0 is kind of up and ready.
Yep, exactly, exactly. So
That's
that's the plan.
awesome.
That's the plan. So, yeah, man, it's going really well. Right now is a bit hectic. I'm not gonna lie because I still have a couple of these clients that are outside of the out basically out of scope. Um, so what I'm trying to do right now is just hire another person to manage those 2 accounts.
Mm,
Um, and that way my internal team can be my internal team, um, and just
yeah.
kind of crush it doing that. It's been interesting though. I've learned a ton, man. I've learned a ton. I've learned a ton this past 3 weeks, especially. I would say I've
Yeah.
learned.
That's great. That's really cool. And like, let's say, someone's like interested, they want to work with you. They're like, "Hey, I would love that for, you know, my business." Like, what's the website? What's the plug that we can shamelessly throw in?
It's theraiseai.com.
TheRaiseAI.com.
Theraiseai.com. Yep.
Very cool. I appreciate you guys watching that one-on-one interview with Hollis, one of the members of SASO University. And if you want to join the exact same program, there's a link in the description below where you can check out what SASO University is, all the assets that come with it, and how to join. Now, if you join as a Go High Level or High Level affiliate of mine, you can actually get access to the program for 100% free. But we also do have some direct payment options if you are maxed out on that software already, or if you just have no interest in using that software. But I appreciate you watching this video yet again, and I will see you in the next video. See ya.